Hey, welcome to the 40 Finance channel. Today I'm going to show you how to take some of the metrics from Seeking Alpha and dump them into ChatGPT and sort of get some high level analysis. And this is something that I've been working on off to the side and just experimenting with no, reasonable expectation of anything, just throwing numbers in as much as I can. Seeking Alpha is an awesome source for fundamental data. So one of the things that ChatGPT struggles with is obviously going out to the internet and finding different data sources. Are those data sources updated? A lot of stuff in the stock market world is behind a paywall. But with Seeking Alpha Premium, you have a ton of data, both on individual stocks and with the stock screener tool that you can export and throw into ChatGPT, knowing that it's the most updated data. And at least for me, as a guy who studies a lot of the fundamentals, the growth rates and the EPS and all those things with the large cap stocks, it's been sort of fun to take a bunch of stocks that I know very little about and use this kind of export analysis concept to just discover a little bit more about the other stocks that are out there. All right, so let me show you how I do this in kind of a low-tech application to doing this. And first of all, you will need the Seeking Alpha Premium subscription. So if you have that, then you have access to all this data that we're going to talk about. If you don't have that and you're interested in supporting my channel, if you look down below, there's a link to sign up and you get a 7-day free trial to Seeking Alpha Premium and $30 off or so on your first year. Now, all of this data, there's a lot of places that have it on a per stock basis, but getting a big swath of stocks like this is often a little bit harder unless you're paying for a premium stock screener from another company. I use the Seeking Alpha version because they have all these pre-cut or pre-filtered, if you will, stock screeners, and then you can make your own. And what I did for this particular exercise was I did small caps because I don't study a lot of small caps. So I wanted to go into something that I don't pay as much attention to. One of the things that is very important to me with stocks is, profitable stocks that have shown an EPS, stocks that have shown a track record of growth. So small caps, I don't get into that as much. But what I did is I made 3 CSV files, okay? So we have all these tabs up here of data for Seeking Alpha's top small cap stocks. Now, what I'm looking for is raw data to upload to ChatGPT and ask it some questions. So behind the scenes, I took valuation, growth, and I believe profitability. And with that, to capture each of these tabs, okay, it's a separate download. But all you have to do, if you're already a member, is just go in here and hit this X. This is not sharing to the X social media platform. Pressing this button, you probably can't see it on my computer, but it downloads an Excel file. And then when you have that Excel file, let's say for the profitability, I took the Excel file and I changed it to a CSV file just to make it a little bit easier for ChatGPT to read. And then I did the same thing for valuation and growth, right? So at the end of the day, when I'm done here for a second, I have 3 different CSV files. All right, now we'll flip over to ChatGPT and get a read on some of this data. And FYI, I do have a paid ChatGPT subscription. It's nothing special. It's like $20 a month. So I'm not 100% sure what happens if you're not paying, right? If you have a free account, I don't know if you can do this. I have no idea. I just pay the $20. And for me personally, I like to lead ChatGPT in my little conversations, like get it thinking about a broader topic first and then get more specific with the questions. So on this one, I just, started the whole thing off with what are some fundamental investing ideas for choosing small cap stocks? And then, of course, it runs around and comes up with these bullet points. We're just going to leave them. We're not going to argue about them or anything. We're just going to say, great. This is a good start. So I like doing this because it gets the chat bot thinking about, hey, we're talking stocks, we're talking small caps, we're talking fundamentals. It just sort of like sets the bar for the next phase, which is where I upload these CSVs. So this was the valuation file, the growth file, and the profitability file. And then I write on here, the following three files feature fundamental metrics for growth, valuation, and profitability. Which stocks would you pick given the small cap investing strategies you shared above? Now, the first thing that came out was this top small cap picks, which is actually, an Excel file of its own, and it gives, sort of the backup of the rationale behind it. But then a little bit further, we have 5 stocks that are highlighted. So the chat goes, based on small cap investing strategies discussed, prioritizing strong revenue, earnings growth, low PEG, profit margins, cash flow, and solid return on equity, these 5 small cap stocks stand out. From there, it offers, let me know if you'd like a deeper dive into one of these companies or want to screen for more based on sector, industry, or market cap range. So I went on to request, what else can you tell me about VITL Farms, VITL? And it wants a little bit more specific. And I said, tell me what you know about the analyst ratings for VITL Farms. And then it went on and did a whole search across the internet and did this analyst recommendation overview. VITL Farms is overwhelmingly positive, and then it gives the different places that it found that information. The price targets, the average 12-month price target among covering analysts is around $45 to $46 a share. But let's go back into Seeking Alpha Premium and take a look at VITL Farms from there. All right, so here we go. And I forgot to mention, we didn't really talk about what VITL Farms does. But it's a food company, packages, markets, and distributes shell eggs, butter, and other products in the United States, produces products sourced from animals raised on family farms, including eggs, butter, hard-boiled eggs, and liquid whole eggs. And if we go just by the Seeking Alpha quant rating, you pretty much have buy across the board here. But what would we be missing, right? So what could possibly be missing in this overview that's bullish from ChatGPT? ChatGPT read through the numbers, compared it to other small caps, picked out VITL Farms. It then went out to different websites and gathered other analyst ratings on the stock, and everything's coming back buy. But every good investor knows that no stock is 100% perfect, so let's try to figure out what might be a cautionary tale on this one. And what's interesting is recently, Seeking Alpha added these AI reports, and it actually is kind of helpful. I don't know, similar to ChatGPT, I don't know if I would, bet the VITL Farm on this information. But one thing that I have used with this is just a simple pop-up. It's not even very long. It's basically a one-pager. But I like to come down here because they flag the concerns raised by analysts on Seeking Alpha. And it says, VITL Farms faces risk due to high egg prices driven by avian flu, which may not sustain in the long term. The company's high PE ratio and price-to-book ratio suggests limited profit potential for new investors amidst market uncertainties. Despite impressive growth, current valuation multiples suggest limited upside compared to peers, making further gains likely to align with broader market performance rather than outperforming it. The avian flu continues to pose a threat to production, with potential for outbreaks significantly impacting supply. Additionally, the absence of dividends could be a concern for some investors, despite the company's strong cash position. All right, so again, I find that incredibly helpful. They also have 3 positive bullet points about VITL Farms. But, everything that's a buy, strong buy, whatever, in this whipsaw market definitely deserves further evaluation before you go all in on it. The other thing that's handy with VITL Farms that you see on my channel a lot is just trying to factor in where the current growth rate stands compared to the past for Vital Farms. So if we go to revenue growth rate forward, I usually look at all forward metrics. 22% is the projected, so we'll just call it 23%. 5-year average is 25%. So that's down on the 5-year average by about 10%. EBITDA growth forward, we'll call it 36%. That is down from a 57% 5-year average. So a little dink in the armor, if you will, there. Then if we look at diluted EPS growth, looking forward, up 38%. These are great metrics, by the way. Very, very good metrics. But on the 5-year average, you would argue that maybe growth is slowing. The valuation for Vital Farms is still getting a flag, a grade of D. And what's interesting here, at least as it pertains to me, is the grades for Seeking Alpha Quant Score are sector relative. So if we're talking farms, I don't know a whole lot about farms. So it is interesting to come in here and look. And if we go P non-GAAP forward of 26, well, the sector median is 1571. So it could be, at least on a PE ratio, that's substantially higher than the sector median. My guess is the sector median is not growing. Then if you want to look at projections for price to sales forward, 1.98 versus 1.13, they're 75% higher than the sector median. So when you're looking at these stocks and you're getting this information, ChatGPT in particular can go out, like I just showed you, and get all these analyst picks, so to speak, and they did a really good job, and they put it together, latest analyst ratings and sentiment, but at the end of the day, these are just opinions. But the big unlock of how we even landed on Vital Farms was to put all of this data in, okay? Which was, I think it was 80 plus stocks. And then we asked ChatGPT to use its strategies, so to speak, and come up with some picks. And that just unlocked our research point. So the Vital Farms was a good call out. This is a good overview of analyst sentiment, but unless you can, at least for me, unless you can go back and have some sort of fundamental valuations to plug into this, an analyst pick is an analyst pick. I mean, every analyst probably has, 25 stocks that they're saying is a buy. And a buy rating is kind of relative, right? Like, what does that mean compared to other things? What does it mean compared to other opportunities? Which is why I like taking the small caps, having the Seeking Alpha data for just straight small caps. Who cares what the sector is? Who cares what the industry is? I'm just going to load up Seeking Alpha's top small caps into here. And, you do some work and let me know what you find out, ChatGPT. So it's very important if you're going to use AI, in my opinion, that you have a strong data source for all the information you want it to parse through, because everything else just turns into an internet search with AI anyway. It just turns into an internet search that anybody can do, right? Anybody can say, how many analysts are recommending buy Ford? And ChatGPT can do it faster, and it can probably summarize it better, but you don't know when those picks were made, et cetera, whereas the data that we have here is updated every single day. All right, guys, so that's just an overview of some stuff I've been kind of dinking and dunking with, like how can you combine all of the data in Seeking Alpha? How can you combine all of these articles and insights? How can we throw that in ChatGPT to save us some time and maybe just give us a different opinion? I mean, I like the theory of like a computer's opinion on stock market metrics. So I'll keep working on it and come up with some other fun ideas. Before you go, though, if you're interested in learning more about Seeking Alpha Premium, check out the link below for your 7-day free trial and some money off your first year. I hope everybody's doing well. We'll see you on the next video.